Now, I'm not going to waste your time, and I'll cut straight to the point. Warren Buffett just made a move that should terrify anyone trying to buy a home in America. The headlines call it savvy, classic Buffett, a masterclass in buying great businesses at fair prices. But peel back the investor speak, and you see something way bigger than stock tickers or quarterly beats. You see a blueprint for a future where shelter behaves less like a right and more like a subscription, where you're told to be happy with flexibility, convenience, and everything bundled, while you own nothing. I don't say this to scare you. I say it because I refuse to sit in the dark while regular people get boxed out of the very dream they were raised to chase. If one person watching this rethinks a decision, rereads a contract, or gets ahead of a trap, mission accomplished. You don't watch channels like this to fantasize about Lamborghinis. You watch because you're renting and feel stuck, because you're living with family and feel behind, because you own a home but sense something is off. You're right, and you're not alone. So let's talk about Warren Buffett's terrifying housing play, why it points to a world where you're nudged to be happy owning nothing, and how to protect yourself. The hook, no one in the mainstream will stay plainly. Warren didn't dabble in housing. He didn't toss a dart at a ticker. He made a deliberate, concentrated bet on the machine that creates supply, finances it, insures it, and increasingly keeps it as a rental stream rather than passing it to families. Think the plumbing of shelter. If you're saving for a down payment, if you're losing bidding wars, if you keep hearing rates came down a bit and then watch the monthly payments still punch you in the throat, this matters. Because while you struggle at the front door, Buffett is setting up upstream where the door frames are cut, the appraisals are made, the mortgages are sold, and the decisions get voted on. Let's break down the play. 10 layers deep so you see the pattern nobody in glossy magazines will connect for you. 10. The builder bet. Supply that never truly supplies you. Buffett's move into major home builders wasn't about flipping houses. It was about owning the factories that produce America's shelter. These companies don't just pour slabs and hand over keys. They control land pipelines, lot options, development rights, preferred lender relationships, title flows, insurance desks, the whole conveyor belt. Here's the quiet shift. More new homes aren't built with you in mind. They're built with permanent rental cash flows in mind. Entire tracts are pre-wired as rent only, sold to institutional landlords in bulk, or stitched into joint ventures as spin-off rent checks for decades. You don't outbid this at an open house. You never even see it hit the MLS. Translation: supply increases, but ownership opportunities don't. 9. Vertical integration. Profit at every checkpoint. Old-school builders relied on third parties for lending, title, insurance, and post-close services. Modern giants increasingly own or control each lane. That means fee capture whether a home sells to a family or to a fund. It also means the ability to package built-to-rent communities, finance them, insure them, and hand off management under one umbrella. When a company can profit from every outcome, guess what outcome it will prioritize? The one with the most predictable and compounding cash flows: rent. You don't need a villain for this, you just need math. 8. Built to rent, the subscription model of shelter. We're not talking about a handful of rental houses sprinkled across the cul-de-sac. We're talking about purpose-built neighborhoods, identical floor plans, standardized materials, professional management, pet stations, fiber internet, smart locks, bundle services, and lease terms that feel like gym memberships. Convenient, absolutely. Freedom? Not so much. Because convenience here is a trade. We'll handle everything. You stop building equity. That's the subtle ideology of be happy to own nothing. Everything is included except ownership. 7. The mortgage machinery, where your buying power quietly shrinks. Even if rates drift a little lower, the system now bakes in higher insurance, stricter underwriting, HOA requirements, flood wildfire riders, and capitalized closing costs. Builders can solve rate pain with buy-downs when they need to move inventory. Investors can stomach carry costs because they spread them across portfolios. You, the individual buyer, you're told to stretch. Buffett's play doesn't need you to default or fail. It simply needs the average buyer to fall a little short, often enough that the marginal home becomes a rental line item instead of your deed. 6. The index effect. Voting power without the megaphone. You've heard this before, but it bears repeating. The same stewards manage enormous stakes in builders, REITs, mortgage ETFs, insurers, utilities, the whole ecosystem. Their default stance is long-term value. That means stable rents, predictable rate of return, disciplined pricing, and lower volatility. All of that is rational, all of that is fine, until you realize value stability for the enterprise can equal price inflexibility for the family. Buffett doesn't need you to buy your neighborhood. He needs to own the claims on the companies that shape your neighborhood's options. 5. The land game. Options beat emotions. Owning land is expensive. Controlling it is smarter. Leading builders secure options on massive acreage years in advance, staggering the timeline, lowering risk, and boxing out newcomers. That means the pipeline is defended. And when that pipeline is pointed more toward rental outcomes than retail sales, the die is cast long before you ever contact a buyer's agent. You can't out-hustle a land bank you never knew existed. 4. Insurance and infrastructure. The carrying cost choke point. Ask recent buyers what derailed their closing. It wasn't just rate. It was insurance. In more regions, premiums jump, deductibles balloon, and some carriers simply walk away. Then utilities file for rate increases to harden grids and serve power-hungry data centers, which the same capital markets love. Carrying costs are structural now, not cyclical. Who adjusts fastest to structural carry? Scale. Who gets pinched? One-house buyers. 3. The rental flywheel. Demand feeds supply, feeds demand. The more people priced out of buying, the more rental demand. The more rental demand, the easier it is to underwrite new build-to-rent tracts. The easier that underwriting, the more builders dedicate phases to rent only. That reduces for sale inventory at the margin, which keeps prices sticky for what's left. Around and around we go. Buffett's sweet spot is owning the flywheel, not the spokes. 2. The narrative reset. Flexibility as a product. Notice the language. Renting is freedom. Ownership is maintenance and taxes. Built to rent is community. Lease bundles are lifestyle. The message, opt out of the hassle, opt into the app. The decade trains you to prefer subscriptions, music, movies, cars, even furniture. Shelter is the final subscription frontier. And if you do still insist on owning, be prepared to compete with portfolios that treat houses like inventory, not homes. 1. The Buffett angle. Moats, not headlines. Buffett's brand isn't trading, it's moats. Durable advantages, compounding cash flows, businesses that win by not losing. Housing, done the new way, is a moat. Master-planned land control is a moat. Vertical integration is a moat. Rental income from new construction is a moat. And the cultural shift that tells a generation ownership is a burden, that might be the widest moat of them all. This isn't about 90 days. It's about a decade. Own nothing and be happy? Here's how the script gets written. Step 1. Push the for sale price to the edge of affordability via land control, material costs, and developer-required amenities. Step 2. Let insurance and utilities carry part of the load. Those bills function like a second mortgage. Step 3. Offer a painless alternative, brand new rentals with bundled perks and a move-in app. Step 4. Teach buyers that renting is smart, nimble, modern, that equity is an old-school headache. Step 5. Institutionalize the pipeline so more of tomorrow's homes never hit the owner-occupant market at all. Buffett didn't invent this script.
He simply funded the parts that win in every scene.
If you're a renter, buyer, or owner, what now? If you're renting, treat your lease like a financial plan, not a calendar. Demand transparency on renewal formulas, fees, and maintenance response standards. Price out alternative neighborhoods 3 months before renewal so you're not negotiating from panic. Bank 12 months of difference, the gap between what ownership would cost and your current rent, into a high-yield bucket. If that bucket never grows, the rent is cheaper story might be a trap, not a savings plan. If you're buying, underwrite the entire monthly, not just principal and interest. Verify insurance with quotes on the actual property before you fall in love. Budget 1 to 2% of price annually for maintenance, even on new. Hunt the unsexy inventory, slightly older roofs with documented maintenance, end of cul-de-sac lots, odd but solid floor plans. The builder new premium is often the rent flywheel in disguise. In BTR-heavy zip codes, call the city and confirm any pending phases that are rent-only. If the next 3 streets are all rentals, comps and appraisals can get weird later. If you already own, proactively shop insurance. One quote is not a plan. Ask about mitigation credits, roof, shutters, defensible space. Read your HOA's reserves and minutes. Special assessments don't just ding value, they vaporize buyers' loan approvals. If you may sell in 12 to 18 months, fix the 3 things every inspector flags: roof life, HVAC service, and moisture and plumbing. Knock those out now, it saves you twice later. The human cost, and why I'm saying this out loud. Behind every spreadsheet win is a family that got told, not this time. The young couple who finally stacked a down payment and got outgunned by a cash portfolio. The single parent whose rent renewal ate the raise. The firefighter who commutes 90 minutes because the starter homes near the station are now rentals with waiting lists. I'm not anti-business. I'm not anti-profit. I'm anti-tilt. Systems that lean so hard toward capital efficiency that human stability becomes a rounding error. Buffett's play is brilliant. It's also a mirror. Do you like what it's reflecting? This isn't 2008. It's stickier. In 2008, households overborrowed and Wall Street overpackaged. When it broke, inventory actually changed hands. Families could buy on the other side. Today's model is more closed loop. Homes don't flood the market, they circle within institutional ecosystems, refinanced, repurposed, released. The abstraction is you, accepting rent as a lifestyle, paying more for less permanence. That's why this is more unnerving than a bubble. Bubbles pop, pipelines persist. So be happy to own nothing? Only if you choose it with eyes open. Only if you run the numbers and the life math. Kids, commute, care networks, mental health, and renting really wins for your situation. What I don't want is for be happy to own nothing to become the default because the market nudged you there and called it freedom. Buffett's terrifying housing play is a masterclass in reading where power accumulates next. He's placing chips where ownership migrates, from the deed in your hand to the balance sheet of platforms. That doesn't make him a cartoon villain. It makes him early. But early can be resisted, locally, personally, practically. Support policies that unlock small-scale ownership, accessory dwelling units, duplex by right, faster permits for missing middle housing. Back community land trusts and first look programs that give families a lane before portfolios. Vote with your wallet. If you can buy within your means, in a place that fits your life, do it and hold it. The most potent rebellion against own nothing is to own something that lasts. I'm not here to sell you hopium. I'm here to hand you a map. The terrain shifted. The fog rolled in. Buffett brought a lighthouse for himself. Now you know where it shines. Use that light to chart your course, not the one the pipeline pre-selected. If this helped, share it with the friend who keeps losing to cash offers, the parent worried their kids will never buy, the neighbor considering a builder new lease because it's easier. Drop what you're seeing on the ground, rents, insurance quotes, builder incentives, HOA assessments in the comments. The more we compare notes, the clearer the picture gets. The clock is ticking, not toward a cliff we helplessly drive over, but toward a junction where we choose our lane. Be happy to own nothing, or do the hard, unglamorous work of owning something that lasts.
Your move.